Colleen.
Hey, Matt. I wanted to ask you about a few guys on offense that we saw participated last week and we didn't see out there today. I think we saw Anthony Miller on the sideline and also didn't see Foles or Jimmy Graham or Marquise Goodwin. Can you share their situations?
Yeah, again, just the reminder to everyone is that it is voluntary, and a lot of those guys, this is one day today, and Anthony was out there today, but these guys, sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not here, and that's kind of all part of the process. I think that's pretty common in a little bit of a way throughout the league right now. But I'm really, big picture, I'm excited about the guys that are here, and I think they've done a great job. I mean, today being our 6th day, being together, y'all saw being out there. They're doing a good job of running around, finishing pursuit. We were a little sloppy today than we've been in other days, but the volume's picking up a little bit. That's expected. It's our job to teach them.
So Anthony's not injured?
No, he just has a little minor nick here, but nothing is very minor. So we just, in these type of situations, Colleen, we just want to admit we're super, super conservative, and there's no need to get guys out there. We appreciate him being here for all the meetings.
Thank you.
Dean Weider.
Matt, I'm curious from your experience in Kansas City in 2017, how you sort of noticed Patrick benefiting from the developmental process in the number 2 role, and some of the things that give you that confidence in that process with Justin. And then I got a second one after you're done with that.
Sure, no problem. So what happens, Dan, is as you go through, like I think back to this time in 17, meaning the off season and getting through rookie camp and then getting into OTAs and dealing with the reps. And at that point in time in 17, Alex was getting, there was a lot of reps he was getting. So a lot of these times right now for these players, in particular, Justin, there's a lot of mental reps. And really what happens is it's kind of, you get the mental side down in the off season. You're able to come out here on the grass and see what the timing's like. And as you saw today, there were some issues with snaps. Like those are little things that we try to tune up and get ready for training camp so that doesn't happen. But now what we want to do is say, okay, this is what you've done. This is where you can grow. Let's see if that happens now in training camp. And in 17, when Patrick was able to get his opportunities, and then in the preseason in particular, I remember there was a play Patrick made where he kind of scrambled around, ran around, and made a deep throw down the sideline that he does to this day. You always see that he had an opportunity in a real game to do it. And then he didn't get to play until the last game of the regular season. And he did a great job of leading the team to a win, speaking of Patrick. So there's kind of that's part of the process for us. What we want to see, Dan, is we want to see the plays that he's now repped in the off season. In training camp, we want to see is he making better decisions and better throws. And that's really for all the quarterbacks.
It obviously didn't inhibit Patrick's career to sit for a little while. Do you think it benefited him to sit for that stretch?
Yeah, I think it did. And I think Patrick would probably tell you the same thing. These guys are all competitive. That doesn't mean that that's going to happen for any of these guys. I mean, there's so many things, these quarterbacks that come in, these running backs, wide receivers, whatever position, you never know, how the season goes. But in that scenario in 17, when you ask Patrick, I mean, for him to be able to develop like that and learn from Alex and grow, he would probably tell you it was a pretty good thing that happened to him. And if he would have played sooner, would he have done what he did the following year? Maybe. We don't know that. But for him, I don't want to speak for Patrick, but I would guess that it helped him grow to be able to really learn, so that when he got in that last regular season game against Denver, he went out there and had fun with it, and we won the football game.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Matt, I'm wondering what specific things are you looking for from Darnell Mooney in terms of elevating his level of play this year? And then when you went back and you look back at last season, what was maybe the 2 or 3 things that stood out most to you about his rookie performance?
So the things, I'll start off with your second part of the question, Brad. The things that stood out to me was his durability up until that last game there where he got hurt. He got hurt with extra effort in that previous game. And so you love that about him. He's really tough. He from the start, from when he got into training camp and then for us to get through training camp into the season, we weren't sure going into that Detroit game how he was going to be able to hold up physically and mentally. And so I'd say the very first thing is he aced that test, and we just kept giving him more and more and more. Now it's our job, Brad, to make sure that as we go into this season, we make sure that he gets a lot of opportunities. He's a threat in this offense, and what he's doing out here right now in OTAs, he's literally gotten even better. So he has that inner drive. It's that DNA thing that not everybody has. Well, he has it, and we're lucky. So, and then what was the first part with this year?
Just specifically, what do you want to see from him in terms of growth that's going to lead to a more productive year 2?
Yeah, just probably taking the route running and understanding the whole concept of the play. So last year he really knew his route. Now I want him to know the whole concept within the play. And I always remember Coach Cully when he was in Philadelphia talking about Terrell Owens and T.O. always knowing, like, he always knew the whole play. He knew when he was getting the ball pre-snap, and he knew when he wasn't getting the ball. And so I think taking it to that level now for Darnell is going to be really important. And I'm seeing him adjust his route to certain coverages. He did that last year, but now it's going to be, hey, pre-snap, I know I'm getting this football. And that's really what we want all of our wideouts and tight ends to get to.
Pat Finley.
Yep, no problem.
Hey, Matt, I have 2 vaccine questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of them is, do you anticipate your coaching staff to be fully vaccinated by the start of camp? And the second one is, do you think there's a competitive advantage to getting as many people in Tier 1 vaccinated as you can? And if so, what are things you guys can do to help educate the players on your team?
Well, the education, Patrick, what you just said is really for us is to know that everybody to be educated, because we all have our own opinions on what we want to do and not do. But if you understand the education of it, if we encourage it, which is what we're doing, then we can all make our own decisions and decide to get it. And that's where I think your question with the competitive advantage for all of us, you know, for me, I'm able to now with the rules that we all have, I'm able to go around and I don't have to wear that mask anymore, you know. And it felt like today, I kind of woke up this morning, I was pretty fired up to not have to put that thing on. I left it in my car. I walked into work, and it's just different when you see people's expressions, when you talk to them, when you're out in the field and meetings, et cetera. So it's definitely nice to be able to not wear the mask. At the same point in time, there's the safety measures. And if you're not vaccinated, then you need to wear your mask. And so for us, we would love for everybody to get their vaccinations and encourage that and educate them on it. And I think the best thing that Andre and the rest of our staff has done here is we've really just encouraged people to ask questions that they're not sure about. And not that we have the exact answers but we're going to be there to listen. And that's probably the best thing to do.
And your coaching staff, do you anticipate them to be fully vaccinated by camp?
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Matt. Before
Yeah.
those, hey, Matt. But before those snaps that you mentioned, we saw Justin kind of getting his teammates in the right place in 7-on-7 there, and then we saw him wait for the right personnel in the team drill to come in. Those moments, what does that say about his command of things? And I guess how much are you seeing them? And then the second part of that, I was wondering what you thought of that deep ball and how much, energy that provides practice.
Yeah. So his command right now is what he does is he sits back there with Flip when Andy's in there running the show, and he's back there repeating every word, and he's flipping it, and he's going through in his mind how to call the play like he's in the huddle. And so the big part of that is getting the personnel, understanding the formations. Where's the ball at? Is it on the left hash, right hash, middle of the field, first wide vision. And so he's going through all that. I thought today he had a really good day of seeing that. I thought he spun the ball well. And I think going back to your question about that deep ball down the sideline, he has that mentality of rip your heart out. And so there's a couple plays in there, and not just today, but other days where these quarterbacks are staying aggressive. And you got to see a taste of that today with Justin, and he made the nice throw to Demir down the sideline, and that ball just took off. And we talk about airtime meaning when the wide receiver looks like he's covered to everybody in the stadium. But when that ball touches the top of the ceiling and starts coming down, the wide receiver separates. And that's what happened on that play. And he made a hell of a catch. So those are ones that we just like to teach off of this film. Same thing with the fumbles today that we had, being able to fix that. And then in and out of the huddle with a misalignment, how we're going to line up. That's the quarterback's job to make sure everybody's right. And it's our job as coaches to teach it. So he's done a great job. Andy's done a great job. Nick, obviously, he'll hopefully be back next week, but those guys are working hard.
Dion Miller.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Dion.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about last year being virtual for all of those rookies. And we talked so much about that might be a detriment. Are you noticing some extra enthusiasm from guys like Mooney or Kmet having this opportunity now to kind of build off what they did last year and dive in?
Yeah, Dion, it's so much different. I mean, it's just, you come in here. We all went through our moments last year for a lot of different reasons. And, again, it's when you're able to meet with your players on Zoom and you're able to talk football, that's our passion. We love it. But when you're able to get out here on the practice field, and we've had unbelievable weather here in Chicago. So it's like pretty cool that it's nice, it's hot, you get a nice sweat, you get a tan, but yet you're doing football and you're teaching ball. And, it gets old doing it through a video. It really does. So now we're out here and we're teaching and they're seeing it and they're feeling it. And it's so, I can't explain the benefits of being here in person and what that means. And it really makes you make sure that you don't take it for granted for the other times that you've had opportunities to be with these guys. And so, I'm doing everything I can to eliminate Zoom meetings, and we're just trying to teach as much as we can outside and do class on the grass.
All right, we got time for two more. We're going to go Mike Berman, and we're going to close out with Jason Leisure. Mike?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Mike.
With Cole Kmet, it sure seems like there's a lot more for him to reach his ceiling. Only had 28 catches last year. Took a while for him to really be involved in the offense. What are you seeing from him in the offseason? How has he improved? And what do you envision for him, potentially thriving as a tight end, catching the football in this offense?
Yeah, I envision a lot for him. I think it taught all of us last year. We weren't sure going into it right away, just with new tight ends, with Cole and with Jimmy, how that thing was going to play out. And Cole did such a great job of digesting the offense. His role will continue to expand. I mean, he's very, very similar to Darnell. Mike, he wants more. He wants to do everything he can. He's so fun to coach. Clancy does a great job coaching those guys, and they've built a great relationship. But we're all going to see more of him, and that's important because he's very, very talented, and he can do a lot of things. He creates matchups in the pass game, and he can hold an edge and dent a defense in the run game. So that's really exciting for us to be able to use him more. That's why we drafted him where we drafted him last year. And I think we all saw last year there were some stages there, middle to end of the year, where he started taking off and doing more things. And that's the expectations and the standards for us this year with him.
Jason Leisure.
Hey, Matt, what
Hey, Jason.
specifically do you want? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
What specifically do you want Fields to be learning from Dalton, considering that you're not trying to turn Fields into Dalton because they have different skill sets? And then I have a question for you about Damian Williams after that.
Okay. Yeah. So the first one is really the quarterback position in general. When you're out here, how are you responding to, making a good play, and how are you responding to throwing an interception per se? Those guys build their own relationship when they're in there watching tape. And again, I think the biggest thing that Justin can learn from Andy is just understanding that the defenses that he's seen, not just out of practice on the field, but also when they're watching tape together, he can explain something in a way that a player really thinks about it. And so he's going to help him grow. It's pretty neat. The other day, Flip was getting on Justin with his footwork and just normal coaching stuff. And we were in the room and going through it and just talking about how he can be better with his feet on a particular play. And it was a good throw. He made a real good throw, but Flip didn't say anything about a good throw. Now, Flip always tells him when he sees a good throw usually, but on this one he didn't. And Andy made sure as a player, he said, hey, dude, that was a hell of a throw right there. And so I think that's an experience of just one piece that y'all can see if you're in the room, that you understand, like, these guys supporting each other. He's commending him when he does something right. He's protecting him. And it's pretty neat to see. And so for Justin, he's just got to see like when Andy's cadence, you know, what he's doing with his voice inflection, is the way he says white 80 versus the way Justin says it at the line of scrimmage, like little things. And then of course, how to handle teammates. Teammates all react in different ways. How do you grab a guy? And so there's a lot of intangibles that a quarterback has that Justin's going to be Justin, no doubt about it. And Andy's going to be Andy, but they're going to learn from each other. And I think right now, just little things that I'm seeing in the meeting room and out here at practice, it really does remind me of prior experiences that I've been a part of.
And with Damian Williams, what was it about him in the offseason that made you say this offense needs that? We got to have that guy. And how has he looked coming off a year off?
Yeah, he's looking good. For Damian, what we really liked about him was his versatility as a running back, and then obviously as well out of the backfield, the things he can do. He's very well-rounded, and it's just a really good fit for our running back room. You know, I was not with Damian in Kansas City, but the coaches that are there, I know spoke really well of him and said a lot of good things. And so Damian's come in here like a true pro and just digested everything that we're doing. You saw some nice runs that he had out there, and he's a great compliment to what we're trying to do. So that, again, it'll be fun when we get to the preseason to see how all these guys do, but there's a really good vibe right now, and it's fun.
All right, Coach, thank you. We appreciate the time.
Okay. Y'all take care. See you.